Hello? Hey, okay. Okay. Whew. I don't know why that did that, but for some reason it like completely in OBS completely just removed my audio input. So I just had to re-add that, but it's here now. So let's go ahead and restart that whole spiel. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for putting up with the nonsense of no audio. It's good to see you all here tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you all are doing well. Okay, let me orient myself here. Okay, so what we are doing tonight, we've got so many projects on the workbench, as the title suggests of the stream. But we are going to be doing some more weathering in HO scale. We're going to be finishing up, hopefully, this gondola, just by adding some grime to the outside. The inside is nice and dirty and grimy and gritty. Just need to do a little bit of touch up on some coloration in there, but that I'm very happy with. And then we're going to do some very light weathering on this EL refrigerated boxcar. Then we are going to jump into working on B&CCS 760, which is the class leader GP40, straight 40, not the 40-2. So I gotta do some cleanup work on this. I way over weathered it when I was first doing this. I think I did this locomotive 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, a number of years ago. So I gotta clean it up, clean up all the weathering and redo some of that so it's a little lighter, because I did the weathering when I wasn't quite sure what the story behind this unit would be. I hadn't figured out the roster really yet. I just kind of went for it, which is fine, but now that I've got the story figured out, I want to kind of make it match a little better, because it's a little bit too dirty. And I've also learned that I need to replace the gear holder on this unit, just like I did the GP40-2, because the clip that holds the truck in is broken. But once that is done, and we're going to also put a decoder in this. I have a TCS. Oh, there it is. CNGP, which we'll put in there, and then I'll finally actually be able to run this locomotive in consists at train shows and on the layout and stuff like that, which will be nice because, like I said, it's been like 4 or 5 years. I think I did this. It's been 4 years because I did this summer of 2022. So 2022, maybe 2023. Regardless, it's been a number of years, and I've never really been able to run it because I've never had a decoder for it. But now we will be able to run it. And then once all that is done, depending on the time we have left, we might jump back over to working on the GP40-2 project. I've got I cleared off everything, all of the rear grab irons, so we can start working on drilling the holes and installing some rear grabs on that. I finished up all of the grills and everything, and those all came out really nice. So the grabs are next. And this is not even all of the projects that I'm working on currently. I've also worked on a couple of other projects. I've still got my express boxcar that I'm kit bashing out of the Microtrains car. I've got these RDCs here that I've got to start working out the decals for, and I generally have a number of decal sheets that I need to work out. That might be what I do next week for stream, if that sounds interesting to you all, is actually just spend the night working on putting together decal sheets. Kind of walking you through that process of how I do my graphics. But in any case, let's focus on who and what is here tonight. So let's go ahead and say hi to everyone, for real this time. Scroll all the way up. Mitch, good to see you tonight. Thanks for coming in. Dennis, good to see you. Giuseppe, welcome back. Good to see you again. Thanks for tuning in again, and thank you for the music compliment. I love me some jazz, and it really relaxes me and lets me just focus on working, which is a lot of fun. Banu, good to see you. Scott, good to see you. Here's all of the muted, no sound, no sound. There it is. Good, good. Steve, good to see you. Garrett, I presume you are gone already, but hi and bye. Thanks for tuning in just to say hey. But hope you're doing well. There's all the heckling, all the heckling. Thank you for your compliment on my impression of a mime, Banu. Andy, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Paul, good to see you. Thanks for coming over. Wah, 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 wah. Yes, exactly. Ah, boy. Let's see. Jason, good to see you. Looking forward to getting to see you in person in a couple weeks down at the Magnolia N-Scale meetup. That'll be a lot of fun. Okay. So, now that I've said hey to everyone, we can actually get to work here. Get a second glove on here. Heckling us? No. Never. All right, let's see. What should I start with? Well, it's actually quite a bit heavier than I had anticipated, but that's okay. We can make this work. Yeah, that's okay. All right. So, I think maybe we'll start with the gondola, since that's mostly done already. Yep, yeah, I'm on the same page as you, Giuseppe. So, as you can see, when I sealed in all of the grime on the inside and some of the piles of I intentionally left some piles of weathering powder in there to kind of build up some, it's like some detritus left in the inside of the gun, but that's slightly discolored after the seal has been laid on. So I will be adding one last layer, just a light layer of grime inside to recolor that, and then we'll go around the outside and throw on some grime and some powders in all of the ribbing to have add some depth to it. Thomas, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. All the expats. That's really funny. All right, so we'll go with a smaller brush. Go with like this brush. Okay. Really just kind of work this around to make sure all of the discolored spots are blended in. That's looking much better. Okay. All right. I'm fairly happy with that. So we will go ahead and do that. Finger. Dennis. Need to get me to do some scratch building? What do you mean you need to get me to do some scratch building? I do scratch building. I do scratch building all the time. And, well, maybe not all the time, but I do it. All right, now let's go ahead and get some rust powder. Gondola ribs are made for chipping sponges. Yep. So a decent technique to make those gondola sides in much thinner material and still have all the ribs. Well, so I think I was saying this last week. This is not my car. This is my friend Corey's car, so I'm not going to do any substantial rebuilding or anything like that of it. I'm just, you know, doing some nice weathering on it for him. At some point, I do want to rebuild a nice thin gondola. That way I can actually warp and bend some of the panels. Because I think that would be fun. But for something of my own, that if I screw it up, it's not the end of the world. Am I going to dry brush any car color to make it look like scratched chipped paint? That's what the rust spots are. So if I zoom in more, I actually should in general zoom in more. Just something for future use for my roster. That'd be nice, yeah. This, zoom, 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 bam. So Dennis, you can see all of these spots on the ribs. All of that is my chipping. So, ever use chipping fluid? I have not yet. I just haven't gotten around to buying any. I want to. I just, you know, again, I gotta get some before I can try it. Just basically what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to catch some of these highlights with this powder. And then maybe push a little bit into some of these corners. Thank you, Thomas. For chipping fluid, use the hairspray. Yeah, I've heard of that. It's from what I understand, it's a similar technique. It just, instead of using chipping fluid, you use cheap hairspray that you can kind of peel away. Where did that other brush go? Oh, it's right here. It's a little stiffer, so you can use that to kind of pull away some of this extra powder. Correct. Scrub away. Yep. Hey, Brad. Good to see you tonight. What former railroad would a PC gun of this type be from? PRR, New York Central. That's actually a good question. let's find out. This is going to be fairly easy for me to discover because I have the car class here. Penn Central G43A Gondola. Pennsylvania Railroad. This is a former Pennsy Gone. It's built in the San Maria shops in Hollidaysburg between 66 and 70. So there's your answer. Yep, Dennis, you're right on. That's what I was going to say as well, but I figured, I've got the internet right here. I know exactly what the class type is. I might as well be certain of my answer. You've been near Hollidaysburg? Nice. The con and you're about the same age? Wow. Hopefully you look a little better than the Gone, though. Okay. Let's grab my thin brush here because I want to do some fine detail stuff, like rust coming out from underneath where the plaque is mounted. Connor, you in the same shape? Oh, jeez. Nah, you're much better off, Thomas. Here we go. So now we've got some rust kind of coming down from underneath where the plaque here is actually mounted to the car. Got a video of about 30 speeders doing around on the Everett Railroad. Ooh, that's fun. A shape for a YouTube comment section. Oh, Andy. It's a good one. Let's see. Oh, you were in Hollidaysburg the weekend before for a speeder ride. Gotcha. Yeah. I remember you sharing about that. That's super cool. Add some rusty discoloration along the rim. And we can move on to the next side. Do I find that... I probably saw you... No. Oh, wait, you're responding to Dennis. Okay, I see. Thomas, do I find that applying the dull coating removes a lot of the powder work? So, I wouldn't say a lot, but certainly an appreciable amount would be my answer. It's noticeably duller after the dull coat. So I tend to try to kind of overcompensate a little bit on the actual weathering itself in anticipation of that happening. So that's why I tend to go maybe, I don't know, 10% say, so, just kind of spitballing here. Just enough over that it's appreciably heavier then I really want it, and then that compensates for the loss of coloration after the dull coat. You dull coat before using pouches. I do both. I do before and after. Mitch does as well, yeah. Yeah, I do before and after. Before, because it gives the model grip, which allows it to hold on. And then after, because, at least for stuff that I'm just keeping in-house, like stuff I'm doing for myself, a lot of times I won't after, because I can always reapply the weathering. But when I'm doing something like this, where I'm doing it for someone else, I always seal it, because I don't know how much I don't know how much they're going to be handling the car. So I basically, I imagine that they're going, I envision that they're going to be handling it all the time, and prepare for that worst case scenario. That way, even if you handle it and pick it up and put it down or whatever, you won't lose too much weathering by sealing it in. If you don't seal it in, then every time you grab it, the oils on your fingers are going to start pulling away more and more and more of the powders. So that's why I do after for when I'm doing weathering for friends. Ah, you're welcome. You're welcome, Thomas. Yep, needs to be sealed, yeah. Like I said, sometimes I won't do it for my own stuff, just because I know I can always reapply. I can always, reapply whenever I want. So I'm not as worried about it. A lot of my stuff, I still do wind up sealing. Just for the simple fact of then I don't have to worry about it ever again. But it's less of a worry for me when I'm doing my personal stuff. I'll put it like that. So how's everyone been? Hopefully doing well. Had a busy weekend, but a lot of fun. Although probably not quite as much fun as someone like Paul or Ed had, or Andy for that matter had. There were 2 ops weekends this weekend, and I unfortunately was not able to make it to either of them. I went down on Long Island. There was island ops going on, and up in the Syracuse area was ops till you drop. But instead of doing either of those, I was spending some family time, which is extremely important, and I'm super glad that I did. Even if it did mean, missing out on some fun ops. But I went to my brother's school show, which they did Mamma Mia, which was very funny. I had a great time watching the show that they did. A lot of fun always to go back to, same high school I went to, so it's always fun to go back and, wear my old show shirts. Let's see if anyone notices, but Orioles and Royals on in the background. Nice to watch baseball and not have to worry about being embarrassed. Yeah. Little mad earlier, wish people had enough sense to pack things properly. Uh-oh. Yikes. You've been doing good, Mitch says. Went to the Pittsburgh Rail Jamboree. Was going to do layout tours, ended up not going. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but glad you enjoyed the rest of the event, and glad you're doing well. And Got 2 Mahano GG1s in today, but the seller had them loose in the box. Oh, that's so painful. I'm sorry to hear that, Giuseppe. Oh my gosh, that hurts. That hurts just to hear about. Someday I'm gonna have to get some. I'm gonna have to get a GG1, not to keep as a GG1, but when my skills are significantly better, I want a GG1. That way I can take the shell off, get rid of that disgusting Pennsylvania Railroad shell. Mostly kidding. No, the GG1 is beautiful, but I want to get rid of the shell and use the drive to create New Haven. I think it was the EP3 had the exact same driving gear as the EP3 had. I don't think that was a complete sentence. I think I said EP3 to it. What I'm trying to say is I think the EP3 and the GG1 had the same drive gear. Let me make sure I'm correct on that. EP3. Yes. So I do want to make a New Haven EP3 at some point. It's a fairly simple. It's a box cab. But it's a nice box cab, and I'm very I love the New Haven, and it would be neat to have one. So Pensy borrowed the EP3 when they were playing the GG1. Yes, that's what I remembered. Was the EP3 is in a lot of ways the basis of the GG1. So that's good that I remembered correctly. We think alike. One will be kept stock. The other will donate its running gear to a different project. Very nice. I'm imagining that's going to be one of your Italian projects. Because otherwise, I'm not sure what that running gear would be for anything Santa Fe related. So I'm imagining that must be an Italian locomotive that you're going to be working on. But regardless, as long as it runs good and it's got the right general running gear. You are also doing a GG1 in a UP scheme for a friend. Oh boy. The Borg. The yellow Borg. They will take your GG1 and you will be happy about it. Kind of reminds me of the other day. I sent it in Paul's Discord server. I found online someone had added a P32 nose. Cab and nose and all of that onto a DDA40X body, which was it's something to see, that's for sure. It's a sight to behold. But yeah, just ridiculousness. Anyways, missing a lot of messages here. What is everyone talking about? Brad's been doing a bit more modeling on the layout. Nice. Replace it with a New Haven. What a guy. What a guy. Yeah, screw the skate zone lightning stripes forever, Paul says. There's a EP3 door at Soooo Tower. Ooh. I've been meaning to get the Soooo Tower, and I haven't gotten around to it yet. But, now that my girlfriend's living in Stamford, which is about a 20-minute drive from South Norwalk, it's going to happen this summer. It's just a matter of when. I just have to wait for them to open back up, really. But bingo, it will go to an Italian locomotive. Awesome. Hope to hear more about that as that continues, or begins progressing or whatever. That sounds like it's going to be cool. In all seriousness, the New York Central and New Haven aren't that bad. They aren't that bad. I now have a New Haven caboose lantern. Ooh, very nice. Could model the New Haven in N scale too. Ooh. Now, Mitch. That's the beauty of the hobby. We are free to do as we wish. Exactly. You can make whatever ridiculousness you want. As long as it makes you happy, that's the point. That's the goal. Let me just add a light coating of rust to the underframe. I don't really care that much about it. You know, I'm not Rapido. I'm not planning on showing off, oh, look at how detailed the underframe is, but I also don't want it to be just deep water green, as bright as day. So I'm going to do a light layer of this, and then I'll do a light layer of grime as well. Oh, anyways, continuing what I was talking about this weekend, so I went to my brother's show, which was a lot of fun, and then I went to, today, actually, earlier today, I was not, working today, so I went to, the Danbury Railway Museum, because I'm a volunteer there. Yeah, you're right, Giuseppe. It's just worth doing, right? I went to Danbury Railway Museum and continued working on their N-scale diorama / layout of the Danbury Yard circa 1950. Gave all the tracks a real good cleaning, so everything should run much better. Took a bunch of anachronistic rail cars off. There were some Conrail cars. There were some CN noodle cars. There were some, a bunch of box cars with no roof walks. So I got all those off of the layout. So now it's actually, there's still probably some cars in there that are anachronistic, but in any case, it's much closer to reality now. Which is good. And then next time I'm there, I plan on going through and doing a whole bunch of dust removal, cleaning the whole thing up much better than it is, and then I will begin doing a whole bunch more scenery and scratch building. Yeah, see Giuseppe? Scratch building. Scratch building and kit bashing a bunch of historic buildings from the Danbury area. The layout was substantially completed. It completed to a point of running, completed to a point of having a lot of the major buildings either in place, modeled, or at least mocked up. Because like I said, it is supposed to be a diorama of Danbury Yard circa 1950. Give or take. It was then, it just never really got finished because, people moved on, people got older and couldn't really work at N scale anymore, etc., etc. And actually, for a while, the layout was completely non-operational until I came around and cleaned it up and got it working again. So they're all very excited that I'm able to work on it and get it back up and running and get it continued, towards the point of completion. So let's see, what's everyone saying? Paul says, in all seriousness, the Pensy is that bad. Killed Valley, unforgivable. The underbody is almost blinding. Yeah, I'm glad I cleaned that up. I'll get that with some grime, too. Redding and D&H were better. LV had a good paint scheme, though. Dennis, can you post a link in here? I think you can now, Dennis. I think I just set that up right. Oh, hold on. There we go. Now you can send a video. You like to take the metal wheel sets and give them a quick dip in a mild acid solution, oxalic, and rinse and dip in a cold bluing solution, then just polish the contact area. Ooh. I tend to, for the wheel sets, really all I do, I leave the treads and the points clean, and then I basically I'll use some rusty wash and I'll infill the face of the wheel with just the rusty wash, and then add some powder on top of that while it's still, you know, not fully dried, and then, you know, you get that rusty car face without affecting, you know, the cleanliness of the rails. So I will be doing that, but I want to finish the car body itself first. Got better things to do than that? Oh boy. Ooh, pardon me. Okay. I gotta add some to this end of the car. There we go. That's all right. Yep, you gotcha. Thanks for sharing the video. You felt that from here. Oh, oh my gosh. You guys are funny. All right, grime, my grimy mix, localized earthquake. Oh jeez, can't you guys won't let anything go. Alright, so we're gonna add some grime. A lot of grime around here. Moved away from the screen, don't want to taste. Oh, you guys are just ruthless. There we go, nice and grimy. You're not the one sharing your dinner. Fair enough, fair enough. Clean off any excess. There we go. Nice and grimy around where the wheel sets would kick up road grime. Just going to get kind of a thin layer down at the bottom here, and then I'll kick some up with my thin brush. Good. Far from it, actually. I actually had some nice sushi for dinner. Very tasty. And what was it? It was, I think I had an eel roll. Yeah, avocado eel roll. And then, I don't remember what the other one was. Maybe a Boston roll. Oh no, it was a salmon and cream cheese roll. That was very, very good. Couple sushi places in the area here that are very good. Good sushi's hard to find. Well, yeah. No, I'm pretty lucky. There's a number of pretty good sushi places here in the Hudson Valley. Yeah, just a little bit. You know, maybe a few 100 miles. You find it hard to be brave and venture past the cooked sushi at Wegmans. Yeah, I mean, for a while there, I really didn't like any sushi at all, and then I started getting into the cooked stuff, and you know, I can eat like a salmon, some tuna tends to be a little too far for me. Just a little bit too chewy, slimy, I guess. But I've gotten into some salmon rolls. But I do still love my tempura rolls and my crab rolls and cooked eel rolls and some of the more, you know, kind of basic stuff. Sushi was so good in Japan. Oh man, I can only imagine. Okay, there we go. I think the car body itself... Oh, no. I'm going to do some general grime on the underbody. And then the car body will be done. And then we got to do some weathering on the trucks. And the wheel sets, and then we will be good to go. Rock the camera back some. Rock the camera back some, brother. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh, was I working out of frame? Uh-oh. There we go. Okay. So, that's it for the body, I think. I'm fairly happy with that. It's a nice grimy gondola. Let's pop these wheel sets out, and we'll do the wheel sets and the trucks. Screw out there. These wheel sets out as well. Let's do the trucks, and then we will do the wheel sets. Just kind of generally try and clean off some of the grime that's already kind of grabbed on there. Good. Okay, now let's grab the grimy powder again. Get a nice layer of grime over everything. That's good. And we'll do the same on the other side. Good. All right, other truck. Same deal. Nice and grimy. Okay, good. Trucks are done. Wheel sets are last, and then we can move on to the reefer, which is mostly just going to be a whole lot of grime from what I'm looking at this reference photo here anyway. Just the reference photo that Corey sent me. Try to clean off the track tread, the wheel tread a little bit here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, let me grab my, see if I can find mine. It's not the one I was looking for. See if I can find the one I want. I've got a, somewhere up here, I have a rust wash that I tend to use for my wheel sets, but I don't know where it went. I need to get some more. We made a little fixture years ago that holds enough trucks for about 6 cars. Excuse me, use the old metal axles from Bowser cars in the cones. Makes for a good painting weather jacket. Ooh, nice. Now I don't think I would use one of those for HO just because I don't do HO all that often. But I would consider building one out of some stuff in N scale. But yeah, that does sound like a good thing. Very useful. All right, well, you try this wash. Ugh. Really, the most important thing is that it gets some color on there and it gets some tack on there. That way I can throw some weathering powder on as well. So we'll try this. And let's get a new brush. Some. That brush should work. It's either listed under model tools or just tools on your Facebook page. Okay, good to know. I'll take a look. All right, let's go through these. Let's do 2 at a time. Just because I don't know that any more than that at a time would be really functional. Let's add some more of this. So you do them in a black base, then weather? Yeah. I do a couple layers of this, and it tends to work out pretty decently. There's one. Next. Let it run around a little bit and then let it kind of start to... There we go. Sorry, I'm working off camera here. I'm just trying to... I kind of need to be up close here so I can see as I'm cleaning off the treads and stuff. Okay, there's 2 wheels done. Okay. Do I make decals for my own line? Yes, I do. I use Adobe Illustrator to do all the artwork. Well, combination of Photoshop and Illustrator, but mostly Illustrator. And then I use Fusion Scale Graphics to print them. And actually, that's what I was saying. I think next week is going to be a decal design live stream, because I've got a whole bunch of decals that I would like to get sent out to be printed, but I got to design them all and get them all on sheets. Hello, Spence. Thank you. Much appreciated. Hey, 3 Spikes. Welcome in. So I'm doing some work off camera right now because I'm got to be up close and looking at it. I don't want you to just be looking at my big fat head while I'm doing the work. Okay. And the last wheel set. One more medium in there, and then let's... Okay, great. 4 wheel sets done. Close all this up. I'm going to put all this off to the side now. We're going to jump over to my this EL box car. So here's the gun. I'll let those wheel sets dry and we'll get it all reassembled at the end of the stream. I'm actually going to swap gloves because these are so rusty. You were on earlier. Oh. Well, good to have you back then. Let me let my hands dry out a little bit here. They're a little too sweaty to get these new gloves on. So I guess what I'll do is I will cap that, put it out of the way, and kind of do a little bit of tidying up here on the workbench while I'm waiting for my hands to dry out a little bit. Oh, and then actually I can show off something I did off stream this weekend. which I was pretty excited about. Oh, you're off. Chat later. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for popping in and saying hi. Have a great rest of your night, Spike. All right. Get this all nice and cleaned up. And then let me grab my test track here. My hands are almost done drying out here, but I still want to show this off. Like a sand pony resurfacing the ice. Yep, gotta get the workbench clean so I can make it dirty again. There we go. All right, let's grab my test track here. Pull it. Put it here. What is the best way to do this? You know how I can do this? I can do this. Give me one moment. Where did it go? Where did I put it? I put it down here, didn't I? Yeah. On the shelf. No, I didn't put it on the shelf. Did I put it on the shelf? Alright, this is not worth what I'm doing for it. This really is not worth what I'm working on. Let me just do it like this. We'll just pull up the video, because I did take a video of it, rather than deal all of that. If I tax it, that's not a bad idea, Giuseppe. I really should get the I really should get some wax paper to put down. That's pretty smart. All right, let me find this video quickly. There it is. Okay. Let's go to here. Turn on this. What? No. Okay. Why is it not? Oh, that's why. There we go. Okay. Here. Okay, so this is what I did last, or this past, I guess it was Friday, or maybe it was Saturday. This is my Watching Isopropyl dry slowly is the best part of the stream. So this is my one of my 2 Kato F40 PHs. This is number 342. I've also got 339. I haven't done this 339 yet. I haven't decided if I'm going to. But as I was putting, I just put this decoder in 342 this weekend as well. And as I was doing it, I figured, what the heck? Let's go the extra mile and do some lighting functions. So I set it up where you can turn on the headlight. That's through just the, the LED on the board. Then you could turn on the number boards, and I do need to, I think I just need to put a little patch over the emergency light, because I decided against lighting, putting an LED to the emergency beacon. I'm just never going to use it. And then I also added the flashing rotary beacon, or emergency, or the flashing beacon lights on the top of the F40. And I set them up so they will eventually, slowly get out of sync with one another. Here, this is another angle that shows off the beacons a little better. You can kind of see them getting out of sync with one another. But these little beacon lights, each one's got an LED under it now, and they're set up. One's at like speed 350 and one's at speed 349 or whatever. And it actually flashes. So I was pretty stoked about that. Yeah, there's still a little bit more work to be done, and I do still need to get a keep alive for this board, because it has some issues with maintaining power for some reason, but it's so cool. And I'm really happy that I managed to get this to work, because it took me a little while to really run the wiring for it. So like I said, I have 2 of these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get another shell for one of these and paint it in Amtrak Phase 2. That way I can have Phase 3 or Phase 2 F40s, should I desire. Because I really think that the Phase 2 F40s are neat. And I also want to get a Phase 2 SGP40F. I've got a Phase 1. But I did, and it broke everything for a bit. So you better be happy about that, Paul. There is still a little bit of light bleed here and there, but it's not nearly as noticeable as it once was. So, yes. Okay. Anyways. Turn that off. Transition back to there. Let's turn this on. Is it this one? Transition. There it is. So, this is what we're going to be working on next. This is Erie Lackawanna 58-foot refrigerated boxcar. See some black on the bottom sides of the strobe housings, and the last bit of noticeable light will be gone. Well, I'll send, maybe at some point I'll open up the other one and send you a picture of what that light housing, of what that strobe housing looks like, and you'll understand why that's such a problem to do. But in any case, so this is our next victim. Black paint on the inside of the local shell takes care of light bleed. So again, that's what Paul said when I was first working on this as well. The issue is not so much the bleeding through the shell. The issue is light bleeding around parts of the light shield because of where the LEDs are and how bright the LEDs are and the just where I had to put them. It's not so easy as just painting black everywhere. I would do that if that was all it was, but it's a little bit more involved than that. So, luckily for me, this car mostly just needs grime. This really mostly just needs grime. A lot of it. I thought about fading it, but it's not that much lighter of a tone. It's maybe a little bit lighter of a tone, but it's much, much more just grimy than anything else. Oh, you missed that part of the conversation. No worries. But yeah, it's just where the LEDs are in there and how everything's oriented in there. It's not bleeding through the frame. It's just light working itself around and through different things on the inside. So it's not bleeding through the frame. It's just bleeding into like the cab area. So, excuse me. Grime wash. That's pretty much what the plan is. No, this was this my grime wash? No, that's my like dirt wash. Where's my grime wash? Oh, there it is. That's just painted all black. Yeah, it's stones. Yep. I see an orange car and I want to paint it black. Something along those lines. Let's really reincorporate this wash. It's been a while since I've used this, so let's see how it... It's a little too brown for this application. I might... Is there another wash that I had up here that was more black? Well, I just have some black India ink. But that's not really what I need. Yeah, airbrush. You know what? The more I'm looking at this, the more I'm thinking I should do this with an airbrush, and I'm not set up to stream my airbrush setup. So I think actually we're not going to do this tonight. I'll do some airbrush work on it, and then we'll do the rest of it maybe next week. Once I get it all set up. So in that case, we're going to jump over to the GP40. So let's actually get rid of that. Let's bring this in here. So, oops. What am I doing? I am zooming in a little bit. And then, so this is my GP40. I honestly might go in and try and get rid of the decals as well to make them match a little better. But in any case, let's go ahead. Yeah, so that's, like I was saying, I've got to replace the gear casing on this unit. So I'm going to have to make another Atlas order. So I'll have to see if there's any other parts that I need at this time. So we're going to be putting a decoder in this. And then we are... But am I able to airbrush any easier in the new space? Yes, I am. Because I can leave my airbrush pretty much always set up. I have my box set up permanently in my window. And I have my compressor always plugged in. And, you know, I have a little hook that I hang my brush on. And it's much, much easier to airbrush now than it was in the old space that I used to live in. Just purely due to the fact that I don't have to set up everything and take everything back apart every time I want to airbrush. So it is significantly easier to do. Of course, I do still really appreciate and enjoy doing the weathering without it, because I think it's kind of fun that I've learned how to get some really nice results without ever needing an airbrush. But the airbrush is such a useful tool for things like that, where it's just kind of consistent lines of grime. Come on, cab, get out of there. So I'm disassembling this whole thing purely to clean it all. Oh, there we go. Oh, shoot. Well, that's interesting. That'll need to be fixed now. Great, wonderful. Well, maybe I'm going to be getting a new cab for this engine in my Atlas parts order. Because, we just lost, we just lost that. All right, well, in any case, let's continue. Let's go ahead and try and clean this up some, and see where we can get. What was I doing? What did I need for this? Did I really just use my last paper towel strip that I had? All right, I'm gonna get a paper towel strip. All right, I'll be back in just a minute. Yeah, that's thanks. All right, let me go get a paper towel strip. Got just a whole roll of paper towels because I decided I used it enough that it's worth. Yeah, exactly. It is repairable. It's a nice clean break. I'm gonna try and repair it before buying a whole new cab. But I have to actually, you know, try it first. But it should be doable. Okay, what did I need? I need my spirits, my mineral spirits. Mineral spirits onto the paper towel. And let's begin the cleaning. Go ahead and just coat this in a thin layer of mineral oils. Slowly kind of try and pull off some of this weathering. I would go for the alcohol, but it's just, I don't want to eat into the paint scheme too much. Another piece of paper towel here. Sounds good. See you around, Dennis. Thanks so much for tuning in. Ever try spraying odorless thinner to wash something like that? I mean, that's what I'm using. I'm not spraying it, but I'm just dabbing it on. But I'm just using odorless thinner. I haven't ever had to do a ton of washing ever. Yeah, I'm usually pretty happy with my weathering jobs. This is pretty early on, though. Yeah, well, not early on, but it's before I got really, really good. Before I got really happy with my weathering skills. Even just that already, this looks much nicer. It's not just completely dirty. Excuse me. Spray it like power washing. Yeah. Again, if I had my if I could stream my airbrush, I would do that. But I want to do it here live on camera for y'all. Honestly, that's, I mean, compare this to that, and I'm already much happier with this. Crank the pressure up to 35 psi, yeah. Might even try dropping a baggie with simple green and toss in an ultra. Well, I would consider repainting it too. I would definitely consider repainting, especially since I've, you know, this was one of the last engines that I did before I did bespoke decals. This was, well, actually, this might have been my first order of just bespoke B&CCS decals, where I just did numbers and B&CCSs basically, and then some logos. But I would not be opposed to completely repainting. But I want to try and just clean it up for, well, I'm just chipping away at some of the paint with my nails. I'm cleaning. You missed something. Is there an issue? The issue is that I weathered this like 4 or 5 years ago, and I don't like how heavy the weathering is, so I'm cleaning it up because I weathered it before I started really working out my roster in the years when the railroad picked up Jeep 40s. And so it's much more heavily weathered than it ought to be for an engine that's been on the railroad and in this paint scheme for maybe 5 years. So we're cleaning it up. Because if you compare this side, pre-cleaning. Let's try and find a place where you can see it. You don't get the glare. Yeah, so that's pre-cleaning. And that's post-cleaning. And I think this looks much more realistic than this, which just looks like I rolled it around in the dirt. So, which honestly is not far off of what I did. I think I pretty much just threw a bunch of weathering powder on the side and called it a day. So, we're just giving it a little bit of a bath. That's all. But we're talking about repainting it too, because, like I said, I did this model, painted this model, and lettered this model and everything very long time ago, before I really, well, relatively long time ago, in terms of, the development of my railroad, the story of it and everything, fairly long time ago. And so I hadn't really developed, the shape, the paint scheme shape is the same. But some of the lettering things have changed, you know, to tell the story better. So I would not be opposed to just repainting it. But I'm going to try and not, if I don't have to, I'm going to try and not. Oops, I'm working off camera. There you go. We gotta figure out which colors of Vallejo are to me a best match. Absolutely. Or if there's like a simple 2-color blend that we can do of Tamiya or something. Just for ease of everyone else. One of these days I just gotta like go to the hobby store with my model and just look at all the paints. Yeah, that I even tried using that golden, and it was... The issue for me with the golden was, well, I guess it is technically adhesion, but it completely just cracked. You know, the whole surface of the model just had this cracked appearance. So, yeah, I gotta go to the hobby store one day and just work my way down the aisle with my model in hand and just be like, okay, what looks right here? Yeah, that was the box car that I was doing for Heath. The non-diabetes one was that the car that I tried the golden on, and it didn't. I need a soft bristle toothbrush. I have one. It's right here. Give it a dip. Yeah, I was using it, and then I kind of got into talking, so I forgot that I had it in front of me. So thank you for the reminder of it. Color, it was out of frame. Well, it was underneath my hand, I think. So yeah, the color you're revitalized is a 50-50 mix of BN green and big sky blue. Nice. Yeah, I think honestly, what I might wind up doing is just get a handful of Tamiya blues and maroons and oranges, or blues and reds and oranges, and start doing ratios and seeing what I can find that looks good. Color of yours will be rust. Yeah. Well, the fact that you're just using straight, you know, actual railroad colors certainly makes your job a lot easier, Paul. I kind of wish I hadn't. I kind of wish I wasn't so attached to these colors, because I am really attached to them now, and they've really, I think they work really nicely together. But if I wasn't so attached to them, I would go back and pick actual railroad colors as my bases. Well, yeah, your prototype is rather easy to match, considering 90% of it is just black. Paul, I don't know if you've seen it anywhere yet. I don't know if it's ever been posted anywhere yet, actually. But Paul Kassar commented on my Facebook post, you know, thanking Ray for bringing my cars down and everything, with the video of the North America contingent train, which is pulled by Ray's SD60E and your Jeep 9R, or Jeep 9. You know, your Finger Lakes Chop Nose. So I don't know if it's been posted in, you know, if Paul has posted it up anywhere as like a regular post, or if it's only in that comment on my post yet. But if you haven't seen it, go check that out. Bird dropping white, set an airbrush to sputter mode. Oh. That's really funny. It did get posted in the friends page? Okay, good. That was a cool video. You're not joking, consider it will be an Italian hour gauge equipment from the early 1900s, still in use in the 50s, and a private olive oil effect. Yeah, okay, yeah, those colors do make sense. Those colors do make sense then. Yeah, Paul. That is funny. So for anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, Ray Arnott from the Around the Layout podcast spent just shy of a week down in Australia, visiting, you know, friends that he's made through his show, and visiting the Sydney RPM, or Rail Proto Meet, which was this past Friday and Saturday, I believe. Well, Friday and Saturday here. I think it was Saturday and Sunday down in Australia. But he reached out to a whole bunch of members of the community and basically put together a North America contingent for the Sydney RPM, where he took a whole bunch of North American modelers' models and brought them down to display at the RPM, which was super awesome of him, and I'm you know, super thankful to him for reaching out to me to have my cars go down. It's super cool. But on one of the layouts that he visited while he was down there, they set up a North America contingent train, which was all of the North America contingents, rail cars, and the 2 locomotives that went down there, running the layout. So it's pretty cool to see, you know, the work that everyone shared by sending their models down. Some really beautiful weathering and modeling and everything. And speaking of RPMs, I need to figure out what day, if not both, that I'm going down for, or going out for, the New England RPM. My goal for NERPM this year is to have substantial completion on the GP40-2, to have substantial completion on my what's it called? Really, my main thing is to have substantial completion on the GP40-2. I can then display that and the ST40-2 as like real deep model work. Then I want to show off my, whatever progress I've made as close as I can get on the express boxcar that I'm working on. Excuse me. And obviously I'll bring my Hopewell Depot. And then, I'll probably bring all the B&CCS stuff that I have. Just because that's been some fun modeling. And then I want to have at least a start on... Oh, of course, the GP9. Of course I'm going to bring the GP9. That's a substantial modeling project, too. I just wasn't thinking about that. I'm gonna try and get the handrails done by then, but we'll also see how far we get on that. And then on the prototype side, I want to have at least a decent start on my my kit bash to an accurate C425 for the New Haven. Okay, so this is substantially better. It's still pretty heavy weathering for how many years it's been on the railroad by 1980, which is, I think 5 maybe. No, not even 5. Actually, I might have to just completely repaint this, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm not going to deal with that right now. Let me pull up my spreadsheet and check what year the Jeep 40s arrived. I can't remember off the top of my head. Jeep 40s. Okay, no, Jeep 40s were 74. So it has been about 6 years. I've decided that, while I am still modeling 75 to 85, I'm centering all my weathering projects and stuff like that around the year 1980. Because A, it's a nice central year, and B, it gives me a nice target. Where most everything is on property and all that, so. I might do 83, but regardless, the Jeep 40s have been on property for 6 to 8 years and probably haven't been in B&CCS paint that whole time. So I still think this is a little bit too dirty, so I might wind up just repainting it, but for now it will suffice. I'll do a little bit more touch-up weathering now that things are, cleaner. All right, so now let's jump to the electronic side of things. By getting into this decoder install. So let me take off this light shield and take out these 2 boards. It did clean up a lot, absolutely. I still, like I said, I just think it's a little bit too heavy right now. But I'm much happier with how it looks now than how it looked before. So at least there's that. All right, let's take this fuel tank off. Unscrewed those. Let's go ahead and pop these pins out. So we can take that off. Okay. So, for anyone who is unfamiliar, where did I just put the decoder? Oh, it's right here. So, for anyone who's not familiar with the TCS CNGP series, it is a decoder that TCS designed to basically work with these older N-scale locomotives that had 2 light boards, one on either side of the unit. So it has basically just a pair of these. Oop, there we go. Pair of these, which just slot into both ends of the unit. But this allows you to, not have to mill out spaces to completely do a hardwire decoder install. But I'll still allow you to get a nice decoder in there. So it's 2 separate boards that are connected across the unit by some wires. So we're going to go ahead and get that installed. Sounds good, Paul. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for hanging out. And hope you have a great rest of your night, my friend. Like Atlas. Yes, absolutely. Atlas, lifelike, and some of the like Kato, the early Kato models is really what this is intended for. This is actually an Atlas. This is a 1996 Atlas model, this GP40. And the other model that I'm putting one in is this lifelike 2002 GP60 demonstrator. But I've also put them in Atlas RS1s. I put one in a Kato RS11. Lifelike C425. Kato GP9. So lots of different applications. It's a very nice decoder. Well, there are 2 decoders. It's the CN and then the CN GP. There's the classic N, and then the one that's designed to fit the Jeep form factor, which is slightly different than the RS form factor. Okay, so I need my X-Actos. Oh, also, while I'm here thinking about it, because I just grabbed my X-Actos and they were right here. I also want to give you guys a quick update on how the Express boxcar is coming along. I started filling in some of the windows, just these upper ones. I still have to do the other side, and I still have to do all of these, and then I still have to design and build the door and all that, so still a long ways to go, but good start on that. You are using reference photos of the image of the equipment, but the line itself will be fictitious. Sweet. To expand things a bit, there will be lemon harvesting and possibly a marble quarry. Very nice. Alright, let's cut open this static bag. Static shielding bag, rather. The bag itself doesn't have static, that would be a problem. Okay, so. This is the front half of the decoder. Right here. And this basically slots in right there, and then this is the rear half of the decoder with 3 pads for you to wire the jumper wires across. That goes right there, and then the 2 wires that don't get jumped across go down to the motor leads. So let's go ahead and get my soldering iron plugged in here so we can start warming that up while I get everything situated. Oh, how did my wire get under my wheel? Okay, there we go. There we go. Let that start heating up. Grab my helping hands. Get those set up and ready to go here. Oh. tighten up some of these joints. Very loose. There we go. That's better. And then we've got my flux and my solder right here and right here. So we are all good to go there. All right, let's go ahead, and while the iron is heating up, we're going to pop out the worm gears. Come on. All right. We will leave that worm gear in for now. We're going to have to pop out the motor here. So it'll come out. There it goes. Right. So now let's move all this out of the way. Let's get this motor out of the cradle. Good, good. You've ridden the Colorado narrow gauges. They're fun. Ooh, yeah. That was one of the biggest reasons I was kind of, you know, a little bit upset that I was missing this weekend. Because I was actually scheduled to be running Bill Brown's narrow gauge HO layout this weekend at the Ops weekend up in Syracuse, which is based on the Colorado narrow gauge lines. That would have been a lot of fun, but like I said, I'm not upset that I didn't miss my brother's show. I'm very happy I got to see the show. All right, so let's go ahead and trim these motor contacts. Why am I using my X-Acto for this when I literally have a pair of nippers right here? There we go. Much better. Just like that. Just like that. That goes here. Okay. You like the detail work, so you wanted the O-scale part? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So. So I'm just trying to mentally map this out. The wire comes up here. All right, so I need a little bit. I need a small channel right here along the side of the motor. And then a small channel out the top of the motor harness. You imagine modeling olives in N scale. Oof. Yeah, I don't know if even I'm crazy enough to do that. So I'm trying to just basically make a little channel for the wire to run up the side of the motor here. That way it doesn't get pinched by the frame. Sorry, I'm just moving this out of camera here a little bit. That way I can get my hand in a better position to finish carving this channel. There we go. That's a good depth. Okay, and now I'm going to carve a channel in the harness as well. Hold on. Oops, I'm on the wrong side. Well, actually, I need a channel on both sides. Oh, in 30 you can get away with 18H radius because you only have 260. Ooh, nice. I've always loved ON30. I've also generally just always loved narrow gauge. I think it's neat. At some point, I need to get up to Maine to see the Maine 2-footers. Right, now let's get this file out just to round out these channels. Yeah, typical short narrow gauge stock, absolutely. But yeah, my friend Billy Brown of the Rail Brothers just got up to Maine to see the Maine 2-footers. I think it was either this past weekend or the weekend before. But what a neat little operation that is up there. The WWF, and then I think there's actually another. I think there are 2 railroads up there. Okay. Let's do this right here. Nope, that's the wrong board. This is the board I need. Just stick that right there. That right. Oops, right there. All right, I need orange and gray. Excuse me. Go. Orange and gray separated out. I'm going to just quickly connect them to the motor to see Sushi coming back up. No, just phlegm for my allergies. I have really bad post-nasal drip, so when I get bad allergies like I do in the springtime, it's a nightmare. So that was just me trying to clear my throat a little bit. There we go. Okay, so now let's go ahead and tin the ends of these wires. That way I can connect them up to the motor contacts and make sure. What functions do this boards have? So these just have basic motor control and lighting functions. Just forward and reverse lighting. No fancy extra lighting functions or you know, sound or anything like that. It's just a very basic controller. They do sell lighting extension controllers. Basically, it's a small extra board that you could wire in to control lighting functions. But the CNGP itself is a very basic motor decoder. Actually, does this have... Okay, it does have one auxiliary lighting function. You can do one lighting function, actually, I'm noticing now. Does have right... Let's see if you can see. Yeah, you can see it pretty easily. This pad right here on the decoder, in this front corner of the board, that shiny pad right there, that is for your function 1 lighting function, which is actually very good to know, especially for, I think this unit needs, did I say this unit needs a beacon? Yes, it does. So I'm going to need to install a rotary beacon on the roof of this unit. So that's what the F1 will be for. All right. So now we've got that there. Let's go ahead and coat up the... let's coat up the... clean off this brush before I do anything, but then we're going to coat the motor contacts with some flux so I don't melt everything inside, and then quickly wire up this motor so I can make sure I'm wired the correct direction, and then I'll tidy everything up. Yeah, I'm glad you asked too. Yeah, because I was thinking that, oh no, they don't have any auxiliary lighting functions, but then I remembered to actually look, and it turns out they do. So I think iron just gonna go to the top and gray to the bottom. Okay, just that. And then we'll do gray down here. Nope, flux. There we go. Okay, let's quickly test this out. Make sure I've got my wiring the right way around. So I'm going to test this off camera just by quickly hooking up my test track to my layout. Ooh, resistant soldering rig. Yeah, I've just got a cheap, I've got a Weller soldering iron. I do need to get a better iron because I need something that will be able to have a finer point. Not that I'm struggling too much with my wide tipped iron, but it's obviously it would be much better to have a nice fine point soldering iron tip. That way I can actually solder with some level of finesse. Let's quickly get this all in place here. Okay. go to my cab here, select logo 3. Oh, you know why it's not working? It's because I didn't solder the bridge across. So only half of it's getting power. All right, let's do the jumpers across, and then we'll tidy them up later. And blue. Good. Let's tin those wires up. Use the helping hand. There we go. Good. On black, let's do blue, and then we'll do yellow. Good, and then that leaves the yellow right here. Okay, let's put the solder down. We need yellow, then black, then blue from left to right. My left to my right, that is. Yellow, black, and blue. Excuse me. Good. Good connections all the way across. Everything is hooked up. Now, if I test it, it ought to run the motor. And I can see if I'm wired the motor backwards or not. Why is this not... Okay, interesting that it's not running. Let me actually screw this whole thing together, at least loosely. I'm trying to jury-rig this, and I really shouldn't be. It's really not worth the 30 seconds that I'm saving. Looks like a collided catenary pole. That's really funny. Okay, it's really not reading the decoder at all. Why is that the case? It's really strange. The only thing I can think of here is that they soldered the wires in the wrong spot, so the colors are wrong. So let me try unsoldering all these and soldering them left to right the way they appear on the decoder, rather than color-coded the way I would expect. So, orange still motor, then we have this wire would go here. Oops, I missed. Come on, wire, work with me. And then we would have blue. Black, and then that would leave yellow as the other motor pickup. If this is the case, I'm going to be, well, I guess a little frustrated, but also happy that I figured it out. Come on. Stay in place, you dang thing. Okay, and then that would leave yellow to be soldered to this side of the motor. So let's get a little bit of tinning on this motor pickup. Sounds good. To activate your decoder, please submit your monthly subscription fee. Yeah. All right, let's see if this did it. If this does the trick, I'm going to be happy, but also a little frustrated. But I hope it does the trick. Because if it doesn't, then I'm going to be returning a decoder to TCS. Alright, let's plug the DC system back in. Okay, so we have success. We have motor motion. I've also managed to completely and hopelessly tangle the wires. There we go. Around the thing. Okay, so let's see if the decoder if the motor sits like this in the harness, in the cradle. I'm trying to work out. My brain is trying to wrap itself around worm gear motion right now, and I'm trying to make sure I can understand which direction is which. That would be reverse. Okay, I think it's wired right. The only way to really tell is to fully reassemble this thing. So let's do that. I'm gonna quickly do that, and then I think I'm gonna call it a stream, regardless of whether or not it works or not. I think I'm gonna call it a stream since it's 11:20 p.m. almost. Just quickly add a little bit more solder to these pads to thicken them up just a hair. There we go. So I got it to run, Giuseppe. That's the good news, which just means that they soldered the wires in the wrong locations. Just frustrating, but it's fine. That's an easy fix. That's just a matter of noting which wire is correct and which wire is not. So now I'm just thickening up the pads a little bit. That way it makes better contact with the frame. You know what? A better way to do this is actually just use my solder wick. Okay, where did I put my solder wick? It was right there. There it is. All right, let's wick off some of this excess solder. There we go. And this pad as well. Come on. There we go. Now that ought to make this a little bit better connected. Yeah, that's pretty sturdy in there. All right, let's get this whole thing reassembled. And skill equipment does not play nice. Can quickly find itself embedded. Yeah, that's for sure. All right, let's get this through here. Let's run this up through the channel that I carved. All right, let's unscrew the frame halves. Pull this thing back apart. This reinserted. Oops. All right, that'll do for now. Before I really tighten everything up, I do need to wrap the motor in Kapton tape to really ensure that there's no stray electrical connections to the motor so I don't short to the frame. But for just quick testing purposes, this will work. Slowly turning one wall into a plastic collage. Oh boy. Oh jeez. Hey, as long as it's not the like expensive, you know, like, yeah, as long as you're not throwing like Broadway limited RSD 15s or, you know, Loc Sound equipped Kato equipment, you know, factory Loc Sound equipped Kato equipment at the walls. That's when it starts to get real expensive. Where did the other worm gear go? There it is. It's the one I was fiddling with. Although, if it was that Bachmann wall, okay, that's got it. I was gonna say, if it was the expensive stuff, then, you know, maybe you'd have a modern art piece that actually is worth what the asking price is. Bachmann and mini tricks, okay. That's a little better. It's a little less painful. Come on. These darn bearing blocks don't want to. There we go. Didn't want to seat right. Oh, now I gotta reseat this side. There we go. There we go. Okay, seated. I didn't lock this into place. Good. Right, now let's. Ooh, how did I get so tangled? There we go. Abstract railroad art. Let me add some tinning to these pads as well. What am I doing? I need the solder. Solder's right here. Good. And now the wick. There we go. Okay, that ought to do it. This right here. Let me cap my soldering flux back up. That way I don't spill it everywhere. I've made that mistake before. Just kidding. I stopped throwing things in here 48. That's funny. Go. All right, now we'll screw it back down. This will be the true test, because this will be fully assembled. And then I'll tidy everything up off camera. But if this works, then that'll be a success. Nope, something shorting. Probably the motor. I should have wrapped it and capped on tape before. I'm trying to take shortcuts here, and I really ought to not. Shortcuts are no good. Chop on the decoder installed with the Pensy wants their catenary back. Alright, let's see. If I wrap this in Kapton tape and it still shorts, then we've got another problem that I'll deal with at a later date. What? Oh, it's right in front of me. It's like I just had the Kapton tape here. Right, there's the end. Peel that back. Cut a nice strip of that. Excuse me. Trim out this tape. Where did the tweezers go? There they are. Inspect for solder overlap. Don't burn up the ports. Well, I'll double check that, but really there's not much soldering I did other than on these big wide pads that shouldn't overlap. The solder I added, I mean, I guess I can double check the solder. The solder I added to the boards, you know, just before doing that test was basically just to thicken up where the contacts meet the frame. I don't see any solder overlap there, no solder overlap there. And everything else is factory soldered and worked fine before, so in theory, it ought to work fine now. Which is why I defaulted to, well, it must be the motor. Because the motor being in the frame is the difference. Hey Ed, good to see you, my friend. How's work been treating you? Hopefully not too bad. Oh, I don't remember. I think you said last week your hours are all over the place right now. Hopefully it's not going to be too much longer before they settle down and you can actually find yourself in a routine. Yeah, that's for sure. Leave me talking to myself for too long and, well, we start to have some problems. Start talking myself into doing things, and then future dentist doesn't like that. Oh shoot, the motor bearing. Work is work, still learning the details. All right, well that's, you know what? As long as you know you're continuing to move towards being settled in, that's the important thing. Okay. Did Dennis screw something up badly, or is it going to work? That is the question. And regardless of the answer, Dennis will be going to sleep after this. Oh, no short. Okay. Something's up with the headlight. The rear headlight is always on for some reason. But everything else works great. So that's good news. I can investigate the headlight thing at a later time. Let me, here. I'll show you all the absolute mess that is my desk here in a little bit. By bringing the camera around here. Whoa. There's the mess, but here's the there it is. Back and forth. So, mission accomplished. Decoder, at least initially installed. So, success. Am I in Tokyo? Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I'm gonna figure out the LED, the headlight thing tomorrow, but I'm at least it runs, and that's good enough place for me to wrap up for tonight. So let me quickly throw these trucks in their wheel sets in their trucks. Quickly show off Corey's gondola now that it is fully finished and just needs some sealing. Where do those trucks go? There they are. Excuse me. And then we will wrap for the night, seeing as it's almost 40 minutes later than I normally wrap. Quickly screw these trucks back on. So the only other thing that I might do on this gondola is weather the couplers, because I do enjoy weathering the couplers. Conductor is afraid of the dark, so he wants the light on at all time. What is the conductor doing back in the engine compartment, though? It's the rear headlight that's always on. That's funny. Unless the conductor's sitting in the cab of the second unit, just, you know, he's trying to read back there and... He needs his reading light, which is just the rear headlight on the unit in front of him. He's also afraid of collisions. Yeah, well, I think that's a good thing for the conductor to be afraid of. I think if I think that means he's doing his job, or she's doing her job, or they're doing their job. You know. Okay. Let's back it off just a hair, so it's not too tight. There we go. Okay, so let me back the zoom out just a touch. Here is our final gondola. Nope. Come on, camera. There it is. So here's the final gon. I'm very happy with how this came out. Corey, if you watch this back, I hope you're looking forward to it. I'll send you a picture of it. But, I think this came out great. So, car 1 of, I think, 6 that Corey gave me is done here. So, that's fun. And we got the decoder, at least initially installed, which is great as well. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. I hope you all enjoyed the shenanigans, and the weathering, and you know, actual work that was done, but mostly shenanigans. Hudson Berkshire meet is 4/24/26 in Malta. That's this Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. What the heck is going on here? This Friday in Malta. I might be able to get up for that, but probably not. I think I'm busy this weekend, but thanks for the invite. Anyways, enough shenanigans for now. thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you all have enjoyed, and I will see you all on the next track.